what's up, guys? In this video, we're going to talk about the Anderson Lake Reservoir over in California that's supposed to be drained of all of its water by October. Stunning story coming out of Santa Clara Valley, one that I probably wouldn't have heard of if I wasn't subscribed to mercurynews.com from over in the Bay Area. And I've been getting email alerts about this ongoing situation, so I did some research of my own. And I've got some incredible numbers that I want to share with you guys, and what this is really kind of all about, at least the way I understand it. And it's got to do with the potential of a large earthquake. And if there ever was another large earthquake in this area and that dam broke, it's an earthen dam that holds the water back into the reservoir. I'll show you the dam right here, and we're also going to look at it on Google Earth. There's the dam, and you can see right below the dam, there's all of these very densely packed communities. Well, if that earthen dam broke because of a large earthquake, it would create a large wall of water going right into these communities and ultimately down into San Jose, flooding the entire area. Millions of people would be affected. This dam was built back in 1950. It's 70 years old, and it's due for an upgrade. Well, if they can't get it upgraded, which it doesn't look like they're going to, this is supposed to be drained of all of its water by October. Unbelievable. And that's water to a couple of million people at minimum. So where does all of the water go when you drain it? They show a little diagram here of what the water wall would look like after, like, say, the first 14 minutes if there were a large earthquake in the area of either 6.7 or 7.2 range, which, you know, it's very possible considering all the faults in this area and in California in general. We all know about the San Andreas fault, and there's many, many other faults. This reservoir sits right on the Calaveras fault line, right here, sits right on the top of it. So here's the thing. Numerically, I don't know that it's a great idea to relocate all of that water, and let me explain. Even though the reservoir is not full right now, and here we are looking at it on Google Earth. You can see it right here. This thing extends for over 4 miles long. It's quite large, and right now, it's not even at full capacity. In fact, I don't think it's at 30% capacity. Right now, it has 26,133 acre-feet of water, or enough for a year's supply of 130,000 people. That's 29% full. Right now, it's holding about 8 billion gallons of water. How long it would take for that to drain is unknown, but they're estimating a large earthquake could create a large wall of water going right into these communities that sit very close to this earthen dam. So it's a risk versus reward type of scenario. And let me give you some numbers just to kind of put this into perspective. Here's where one community sits that's right close to the dam, and they would obviously be affected first. And then the water would find its way all the way up into San Jose eventually. And worst case scenario, an 8-foot wall of water would make its way into the San Jose, Santa Clara area in like 10, 12 hours. But again, nobody knows for sure how long it would take to drain even 8.5 billion gallons of water. But let's put it into some sort of a perspective. Here's a little diagram I made of Anderson Lake, and I'm comparing it to the Empire State Building. It's something that we can see, put on the map, and kind of compare at least weight-wise. The weight of the Empire State Building, as you can see over here, is 730 million pounds. And we're all familiar with the Empire State Building. It's a massive office building in downtown New York. Well, if you took 100 Empire State Buildings and stood them side by side inside Anderson Lake Reservoir, that would equal 70 billion pounds, which is currently what's in there right now. Today's water weight in Anderson Reservoir is the equivalency of 100 Empire State Buildings. That's how much water weight is in there. So if we take and drain all of the water out, not only is it going to affect people, and in some degree, I would assume, if that's what they've been depending on for all of these years, you got to consider the wildlife that are downstream that depend on this water as well. So it's going to affect the wildlife. And another thing that I was thinking about was water weight. What about the water weight? If this is sitting right on a fault, which it knowingly is, it's the Calaveras Fault right here. You can see it plain as day. That's where it sits. What if it disturbs the fault if you move the water off there too quickly? And then the ground is saturated below the 8.5 billion gallons of water. Once that dries completely out, would it not have some sort of effect on the fault line? I would think. And the problem or the big concern is obviously an earthquake now, the way things are. And this is connected to the Hayward Fault, which runs right up through San Francisco Bay. And they actually almost touch, or at least the Calaveras does, the San Andreas. So it could trigger a chain reaction where multiple faults move if there were a large earthquake. And the probability of a large earthquake between now and 2032, according to this, are about 62% of a magnitude 6.7 or greater, which could do damage to the earthen dam. So again, it goes back to risk versus reward. You know, do we take a risk that there's not going to be a big earthquake and leave things as they are, or drain all of the water out of the reservoir and take a risk there by the water displacement? You know, that's a lot of weight. Like I said, it's the weight of 100 Empire State Buildings. And let's just say you took them all off of that particular patch of soil. Of course the soil is going to react. And once it dries out, the water saturation in the ground is also an X amount of weight itself, not counting just the water. So a lot of weight right there, concentrated weight on that fault zone, that if they do drain it, may or may not have some sort of impact on that fault zone. Hopefully it won't, and hopefully they can get a new dam built or some sort of situation rectified before it comes to that, because I just have a feeling that moving that much water off of any fault zone like that could be a potential issue of its own. You know, we'd have to wait and see. I hope not. But right now, that's the problem. That's an earthen dam that was built back in 1950, and it's just not, I guess, up to some sort of code, that, especially earthquake code. So stories you can find linked below in the description box. Like I said, I've been following this for several days now, and I too, like they're saying here in the article, I was shocked when I first saw it. Never heard of a reservoir having to be drained, especially one of that size that caters to that many people. Here's a new sky phenomena picture slideshow I put together. That is what Jupiter looked like yesterday morning. I saw that with the naked eye, and it also showed up the same way in my picture. I've been taking photographs with this camera of Jupiter for many, many years, and I have never seen it look purple. Not in my years of taking pictures of Jupiter. So that was a first for me. I was very surprised, and I want to emphasize again, I did see that. Not only did this show up in my camera, I did see that. And at first, when I looked over there, I was actually kind of surprised. I didn't think it was Jupiter. And to be honest, Mars even had a slightly different color too. Brisbane, Australia, Catherine, big split sky phenomena. Paul D, notice these shadows in the sky almost look like they're being created by those palm trees. Montreal, surge of a fiery orange sunrise or sunset. Newark, California, Robert S, hole punch cloud, the beginnings thereof. Apache Junction, Arizona, Jenna M. I want you to pay attention to these mountains because you're going to see them here in this next photograph in a much different light. Look at that. Clouds coming up over those mountains, nearly touching the ground. That was a storm we had a little over a week ago. Here's another fiery orange sky at either sunrise or sunset. Maria H. saw the same thing, but it included the split sky phenomena. Look at that. Great photograph by Maria H. And I'm not exactly sure of the location. That's a spectacular photo. Another one here that zooms in on what looks like triangle shape up in the sky. And then here you've got an unusual looking cloud near the sun with a big bright sun dog. Another fiery orange sky. This photo here was taken by Michael P. out of Berks County, Pennsylvania. Looks like something in the sky up here moving very quickly that's leaving a dark trail. I've looked at that very closely, and I cannot confirm what that may or may not be. Here it is in an inverted format, and you can see it does look like some sort of a solid object moving through the sky. Netherlands, Barbara, of a storm moving through the area. Storm clouds rolling through Newborn, Georgia. Photo sent in by Ben H. Bethpage, Tennessee. Cheryl, notice what looked like some sort of a triangle, at least shape in the sky. Johannesburg, South Africa. Lisbeth, a very unusually colored sky. Madras, Oregon. Jennifer, April took this photograph as they were outside. Notice what looked like two very distinct triangles in the sky. San Antonio, Texas. John R. Notice the same thing. Here it is in different formats. Look at that. Nearly a perfect square, much like they saw up in Oregon. How about that? And like John was saying, how does something like that even happen? I totally agree. Here it is in a heavily saturated format, and the square or possible squares are even more profound. And here's a quick video sent in by Kathy of Madera, California. What this is, guys, it's the sun. The clouds are acting like a solar filter, and you can look right here, and you can see what looks like a little disc moving through the sky. Well, the clouds are filtering the sunlight, except for right there, and that's because the clouds are thinner right there, so it's allowing light or more light to come through. The thicker clouds are acting like a solar filter. I've simply got it in reverse here to show you. If you see that in the sky, that's the sun. And it's coming out over here, and there it is. That's what you're normally used to seeing. So, good observation by Kathy out of California, where Anderson Dam may have to be drained of all of its water, which is a highly unusual situation with very unusual circumstances. If you guys have any photos you'd like to share, you can send those to reports at MrMBB333.com. All of the photos end up here at the Sky Phenomena Photo Gallery, and sometimes I use the photos in a picture slideshow, just like you saw right here. Thanks for watching, have a super day, and be safe out there.